Okay, welcome, Vicoding University, training humans to train themselves. Today, we're actually going to be introducing the Vicoding training, and sort of compare it to to reading and where it actually fits in all of this. So, first of all, we're going to talk about reading, what it is, what speed reading is, what seeing is, and what Vicoding is. So those are the things that we're going to be looking at today. Alrighty. And the first thing I want to talk about is what is reading. Okay, when we read things normally, we're trained to read. We go through sort of 5 steps. One of the first things we do is we see the words, of course. And the next thing we do after seeing the words is try to actually pronounce the words, to say them. Even if we say them to ourselves in our head, and initially with kids, they say them out loud. And this is where a lot of people struggle because this is the phonics of stuff. Now, why do we want to say them out loud? Well, this is language starts out as a verbal. It's verbal. Okay, when the little baby's in the womb, he hears noises and stuff like that, and little by little, by the time he or she is 5 years old, they can speak and talk. It's like, whoa, they can speak and talk. And they're pretty good at it sometimes. I mean, especially nowadays with all the input or whatever that kids get exposed to, they use some pretty fancy vocabulary. But verbally is how we communicate. So reading it simply says, okay, if we verbally communicate, then what we got to do is take the written language and convert it back into a verbal sound for a person to hear. And then they'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. So that's the way reading was designed. You look at the words, you try to figure out how to say it, and then after you say it, then you listen to it. So that's even a step there. You got to both say it and listen to it, and then after you listen to it, oh, that's what it means. And it's sort of funny if you say it wrong to yourself, you get the wrong meaning. So one of the that's why they introduced phonics, is they tried to get it so that from that written word, they tried to get it so that it was perfect back to the verbal language. And that's of course where the dyslexic people have a little bit of challenge, because they change it to a different letters and it doesn't mean the same sound, and etc. etc. So it can be challenging. Okay, so let's just look at those steps here real quick so we can look at them again. So the 5 steps to reading are: first you see the words, then you figure out how to say them, then you say them, then you listen to the words, and then finally you understand them in your head. So those are 5 steps. Now, your brain can easily handle this. It's not a big deal. Okay, 5 says boom, 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 and we read at some place between 150 to 250 up to maybe 400 words a minute at this rate. And that's because that's how fast we talk. We talk at about a little bit over 150 words a minute, depending on who the person talking is. And we read maybe just a little bit faster than that. Okay. So, now the Vicoding, so I've always wanted to speed read. So, I want to speed read, and I've looked at all the different speed reading things, and it's like, okay, what is speed reading? Well, just from going on the internet, it seems like, they always say, okay, we'll at least guarantee you that we'll double your reading speed. Okay. Well, basically what they're saying to you is that we're still going to teach you to read verbally, but now you're just going to listen to it in your head at 2x. Instead of looking at one word, you're going to look at 2 words and say those 2 words quickly to yourself. So you expanded your eyes, you've done all this one great stuff, now you're looking at 2 words or 3 words or whatever, and but you're still doing what's saying them to say them to yourself in your head, and you're also having to figure out how to say them, so you have to do it. But you're getting better and better at saying it as well. So anyway, so let's just do that real quickly here. So speed reading, verbal reading, but just faster. This is sort of like if you go on YouTube, you can go and you can push the 2x button and you can listen to YouTubes at twice the speed. And hey, speed reading, we're going to just to teach you how to look at books at twice the speed. That's what speed reading seems to be. Then the next thing they start to say, well, you can really get fast if you start to know if just read the important words. Okay, and then if you start to just read the headlines and and stuff like that, you can start to guess in between because you know what it should say in between. I mean, all the tricks and stuff that they talk about. But it seems like the biggest thing you're not doing is really looking at the material and getting it. You're trying to sort of use tricks to get around it. So speed reading, when I wanted to thought about Vicoding, I didn't want it to be related to speed reading because Vicoding is not speed reading. Okay, Vicoding is seeing. And so to really understand that, I want you to first get a sense of what seeing is. Well, you see and then you understand what you saw. And it's pretty simple. Okay, you see and then you understand what you saw. Okay, it's that fast. Now the way it works, okay, and I think I've got my slides out of order here, but that's okay, we'll just go through it, is that, as a baby, you start to see little things and this, and you put them together. And then you might put together the ear, and then an eye, then a nose, and then a wagging tail, and all of a sudden you put together and you say dog, or you get the sense of your parents tell you it's a dog, and now you start seeing them all together, and that's the dog. And you see other things, and you start to quickly put them together and put them together and put them together, and then you see, a dog and a cat, and you might see a dog chasing a cat, and you first, see the dog, identify the dog, identify the cat, see it running after you, and dog chasing a cat. Then you might, say, now you do this all at once. I mean, it's not like your brain goes, I got to do it in order of the sentence as it is in no, you see over here and over there, all the same places all at once. You just see it. It's all like one big part of one big package. And, you can then, see the dog, the street, the house, and all this stuff. You can see a landscape all at once. And it isn't like you miss anything. It's not like you just read the important words, so you see everything. And it's not like you're doing it faster. No, you're just seeing it at the same pace and stuff like that. So when you see everything, and you see and understand, because your brain is so amazing. It just puts together thing. And only reason why verbal reading is so slow is because verbal reading is linear, and we only can speak so fast. Right? Even when in our head we try to imitate it in our head, we can only do that. So imitate it so fast in our head, it's got to be linear. This after this. You can't see the dog and the cat at the same time. You can't see the dog, the cat, and the house at the same time. You can't see the dog, the house, the street, the cars, and the flowers at the same time. I mean, you can't. It's linear. So seeing is just a whole different way. So I didn't when we talk about Vicoding, and let's get to what Vicoding is here real quickly here. Okay, there's two steps to Vicoding. You see the word or the code, and we're going to train you how to organize them and see pieces and put them together in certain ways, but you don't have to do it in a linear fashion. I mean, you can see one sentence and another sentence and another sentence all at the same time. You can. And you can understand those sentences just like you can see a dog and a cat and a house and understand them all at the same time. And you can actually understand a dog, a cat, it's, your brain's pretty amazing what it can do if it's trained to do it. And that's the thing we're going to be talking about, is we got to train our brain to do this. It's a training. So as we go through this is going to be a training and on how to go through these things here. So just to go back here real quickly, just to remind you, you as babies start out, they see sort of the simple things. Then, they see more complex things, and then more complex things. And again, they talk about how language helps us pull things together. But I mean, just if you think about it, just the word dog includes all those things, and all those things just pop into your head just like that. And language is amazing that way. And we're going to get into more and more, but the key is let's just go back here to Vicoding real quick here, is Vicoding is seeing. Okay? So visual coding. You look at the code and you see a picture in your mind. You know what the code stands for. And it's just visual coding. and it's fast. It's fast. It's just. I mean, it's just like seeing when you can see if you look around where you're at and you can see all the different things around you. It isn't like you go in like a go in some linear fashion. It isn't like you first have to first hear it and then no, it's instantaneous. And it's fast, and you can see lots of them going on all at the same time, and that's just to let you notice a little bit that your brain's pretty amazing. And the thing that we're going to try to extend from that is that we can start to train our brains using Vicoding, and if we start training our brains, we're going to have some pretty amazing machines that we can get going and producing. I mean, if you think computers are fast, you should see your human brain and the things it can do. I mean, not computers sort of go, but we can use our brain and we can draw and we can pick. I mean, so many things we have all these accessories we add to and connect with our brain. And anyway, we're going to talk a lot about that later. But so let's just wrap this up with this here. Okay, so our subconscious is fast. Yeah, we see at the speed of thought. I mean, we do. We see with our mind, and our mind is trained, and we can see the stuff out in the world there, or we can see the codes on a book, and we can put them together, and if you look at language, there's so much repetition. I mean, it's subject, verb, the organization is there. It's sentences are put together into paragraphs. Paragraphs go into pages. Pages go into chapters. I mean, the organization is there. It's just all we have to do is to organize it and goes directly to it, as opposed to slow it down by a verbal process. So Vicoding is simply visual coding and seeing written material and understanding it immediately. So Vicoding University here, we're just going to use that process to and training humans to train themselves. I mean, that's originally reason I started this is because humans have to train themselves to Vicode. You can't just, I mean, someone can sort of assist you along the way, but we are so verbally trained. You're going to have to get in there and do this yourself. I'm not sure if that's the right way of saying it, but you'll understand as we get going here. Because you got to pay attention. You got to see what's going on, because when you're trained as solidly as we are with verbal communication and reading as part of verbal communication, we're going to have to do we have a few challenges ahead of us, but they're not challenges that can't be overcome. It's just a matter of training, and that's one of the things we're about to start out here. So Vicoding University, Vicoding, some people, I don't want you to confuse with speed reading. This is speed seeing, shall we say, okay, of the codes, and that happens very, very fast. So Vicoding University, training humans to train themselves, and right now we're in the process of going to be training you to Vicode. Okay, talk to you later.